All right, you've heard the stories, right? This one patch of ocean where ships and planes just poof, vanish. Some people even call it the Devil's Triangle. We are, of course, talking about the Bermuda Triangle. It's a place of legend, a place of fear, and honestly, some seriously wild stories. But here's a thought. For all the spooky campfire tales, for all those documentaries with the super ominous music, what if this legendary mystery is actually not a mystery at all? Let's dive in. So, first things first, what is the Bermuda Triangle? Well, it's this chunk of the North Atlantic, kind of sitting between Bermuda, Puerto Rico, and Florida. But here's the kicker. It's not on any official map. Seriously. The U.S. government doesn't even recognize it. It's this unofficial, legendary graveyard where supposedly over 50 ships and 20 planes have just disappeared. Now, a legend this big isn't built on nothing, right? It's built on some truly chilling stories. So let's take a look at the greatest hits of the vanished, the ones that really built this thing up. Okay, so check this out. In 1918, the USS Cyclops, this absolute beast of a Navy ship with over 300 people on board, just gone. No SOS, no wreckage, nothing. Then you have the most famous case of all. 1945, 5 U.S. Navy bombers, that's Flight 19, they disappear on a simple training flight. And get this, the rescue plane they sent out to find them also vanished with its whole 13-person crew. And this isn't just ancient history. As recently as 2015, the cargo ship El Faro was lost out there. I mean, that is a terrifying track record. And if you listen to the history, you can hear the sheer panic. The last radio message from Flight 19 wasn't about some sea monster attack. It was just pure confusion. It looks like we are entering white water. We are completely lost. Just imagine that for a second. You're an experienced pilot, your compass is going haywire, you're completely disoriented, and then just silence. So, with stories like that, you can bet the internet and, the pre-internet went absolutely nuts. Which brings us to this glorious buffet of weird theories about what's really going on here. Okay, you gotta strap in for this list. We've got alien abductions because, of course, the lost city of Atlantis using its ancient energy crystals to just zap things out of existence. There's a time vortex, sometimes they call it electronic fog, secret government bases testing out reverse-engineered alien tech, giant underwater methane burps that swallow ships whole, and an 11,000-year-old space comet with weird electromagnetic powers. And my personal favorite? Pirates. Yes, really. The human imagination is truly a beautiful thing. It's all so incredibly dramatic, right? Aliens, time warps, I love it. But what if the origin of this entire global phenomenon wasn't hidden in some ancient, cursed tome, but somewhere a lot less dramatic? What if the truth is in a magazine? And this right here, this really gets to the heart of it. The legend paints this picture of an ancient, cursed sea where dark forces are at play. The reality? The term Bermuda Triangle was literally made up for a pulp magazine story in 1964. This huge mystery is actually younger than your grandparents. Yep, one writer, Vincent Gaddis, he wrote this article for a magazine called Argosy. And all he did was take a bunch of completely unrelated disappearances that happened over decades, drew a triangle around them on a map, and created a mystery. Then, in 1974, this guy named Charles Berlitz wrote a blockbuster book that sold millions and basically cemented this magazine article into a global myth. So, if the whole thing was basically invented for a good story, what does the actual data say? Let's switch gears and let science bust this myth wide open. A big part of why this myth feels so real is because of this weird quirk our brains have. It's called the Bader-Meinhof effect, or frequency illusion. It's when you learn about something new, and then all of a sudden you feel like you're seeing it absolutely everywhere. It's that classic new car effect. You buy a red car, and bam, the roads are suddenly flooded with red cars. They were always there, but now that it's on your radar, your brain flags it every single time. Once people heard the phrase Bermuda Triangle, every little incident in that area, no matter how normal or explainable, just got added to the legend. And here's the real knockout punch. When you actually run the numbers, the whole story just completely falls apart. One analysis of 2021 shipping data found that the global average for vessel casualties was 1.8%. In the Bermuda Triangle, it was 0.02%. You heard me right. It's statistically safer, about 90 times safer than the global average. Mind blown. And hey, if you don't trust the data, just look at the official word. The US Coast Guard, the people who actually have to go out and rescue ships, they flat out state they don't even recognize the Bermuda Triangle. They say there's no geographic area of specific hazard. I mean, case closed right from the source. Okay, so after all that, is the Bermuda Triangle actually cursed? Let's put these last few pieces of the puzzle together. The reality is, well, it's kind of boring, which is exactly why the myths are so much more fun. First, it's a superhighway for ships and planes. Just like a busy road, more traffic means a higher chance of accidents. Second, the weather there is genuinely terrible. It's right in Hurricane Alley, and the Gulf Stream is this powerful, turbulent current. Third, especially back in the day, human error was a huge deal. The pilot of Flight 19 got tragically lost, something much harder to do with today's GPS. And finally, a few writers just sensationalized it all for a good story. And if you need one final word on it, the brilliant scientist Carl Sagan put it perfectly. Statistically, it's a fallacy. Compared with other places in the world as well-traveled as that area of the Atlantic, do airplanes and ships go down more? The answer is no. Really can't argue with that logic. So at the end of the day, we're left with this. The Bermuda Triangle isn't a place of supernatural danger. It's a really powerful story about how myths get made. And that leads to one final thought. If a story this famous, this totally ingrained in our culture, is built on pretty much nothing, how many other mysteries out there are just waiting for us to take a second look?